You've been waiting for the Sanderson Sisters to serve the cinematic equivalent of the classic cult movie Hocus Pocus. But some of the fans have been wondering, are there any rules that the Hocus Pocus cast should follow? Worry not, because this video answers all your curious enquiries. So stay tuned to know what crazy rules the Hocus Pocus cast must follow throughout filming. Biggest challenge to filming was lead star's schedule. So far, it seems like there was complete creative liberty to the stars, producers, and the production designers. Now, why do we say that? The reason behind that attractive statement is not so appreciable. Let us elaborate. Before the official release of the classic sequel, Hocus Pocus 2, the lead star Kathy Najimy, who plays one of the Sanderson sisters, posted a new image of herself donned in cast makeup. Najimy's picture displayed the actress with 3 of the many makeup artists indulging in working with her during the shoot. The bright side of the picture is that the photograph is one of several shot throughout the production since it began at the end of last year, and with the makeup and hair teams wearing masks. Now, it will undoubtedly serve as a reminder of the difficult times the actors and crew had while filming around shifting pandemic laws. But with that, a video was also shared on the account with the production designer, Nelson Coates. One of the important and noteworthy things that he was asked on the chat was about the biggest challenges that the film crew faced when filming. Guess what he answered with? Not the pandemic SOPs, but the tight and buddy schedules of the lead actors. The Sanderson sisters had the crew screaming, shaking, and crying. Neil explained how the ladies were only available for 6 weeks top, and they needed 12 weeks to do the movie. That cuts almost half the time. Normally, your largest structures come at the end when you have time to design them, build them, outfit them, and do everything you need. And this was unusual because it was so front-loaded, all because of lack of time and budget. Nevertheless, we say all of the sets were so detailed and on point. Guess all the credit goes to the talented production designers. And while we are on topic of Kathy, the true fans of Hocus Pocus must have noticed something different about Mary Sanderson. Could you possibly guess what? If not, let us enlighten you with some magic. Mary's crooked smile is at the wrong side. Now, before you go crazy with your theories, it's just a smile. How could it possibly matter? Well, don't come at us for asking, but we get it. To create a timeless classic sequel, it is pertinent to get every little nook crook right, even if it means that a crooked smile should be at the same side of the mouth as it was in the original movie. And no, Mary Sanderson's mouth hasn't gone crazy in Hocus Pocus 2. The distinctive crooked jaw of the popular witch has a perfectly rational justification for being on the other side of actress Kathy Najimy's lips in the Disney sequel. Lucky for us, this confusion has been cleared by none other than Kathy herself. The character quirk, which Najimy developed while preparing to shoot the original 1993 picture, had to be significantly changed for her in director Ann Fletcher's continuation, which sees the Sanderson sisters return to Salem to terrify a fresh pair of youngsters on Halloween night. The reason it is on the other side is mainly because it was just hard for her to do it the same way she did 30 years ago. I mean, that's fair. With age and expertise, you cannot possibly do the things exactly the way you could before. And it was just something she thought about the first week. She stated that because this is a major comedy. There's no need to be nuanced or have a 40-page Shakespearean history. Do you know how they explain it in the film? True test for the observatory watchers? If yes, do let us know in the comments below. And for people who don't, well, let us save you a trip. In Hocus Pocus 2, there's a scene at the beginning where Winnie slaps Kathy, and her mouth slides to the other side. Witty, hilarious, but that's not where it ends. Winnie also slaps her again, and it goes to the other side, which is the opposite of the original, and the mouth just sticks there. A simple yet effective backstory. We love it. Now, if you're done watching both of the cult classics, plenty of time. Kathy also has some brilliant yet innovative ideas for another Hocus Pocus movie. Yep, it is definitely true. Creatives have all the liberty. Don't go anywhere because the idea will definitely surprise you. Now let's explore. Animated Hocus Pocus. Does it sound like a little too much? Well, not for Kathy, but also not for one other co-star, Sarah Jessica. I heard that right. During an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Parker discussed Najimy's concept for a Hocus Pocus animated film. Parker described the animation concept for the third franchise as clever and awesome. She did not exclude the possibility of an animated witch flick being unique. Why would something like this be considered innovative? Because it will merge old and new animation techniques. But we gotta hold on to our cauldrons because at this time, Disney Plus has not formally commented on its plans for the Hocus Pocus series. However, when has that ever stopped anyone from dreaming? Turns out, Najimy is not the only star of Hocus Pocus 2 with innovative and unique ideas for where the Sanderson sisters could head next. During a recent interview, the property's co-creator David Kirshner gave his own idea for a follow-up project, indicating that he'd want to make a spin-off series in Buffy the Vampire Slayer mold. Despite reuniting the main Hocus Pocus cast, the sequel was unable to bring back every important performer from the original film. Notably, Thora Birch doesn't appear in Hocus Pocus 2 owing to schedule issues, which the actor openly expresses disappointment about. Birch went on to say that she is looking forward to seeing Hocus Pocus 2 and is pleased to see a new spin on the series. But not everyone is a little too enthusiastic about another movie following Hocus Pocus 2. Bette Midler recently said that she has no idea how a direct sequel to Hocus Pocus 2 would work, while also stating that she would gladly sign up for such a project. The Hollywood veteran went on to emphasize her affection for her character, Winifred Sanderson, and expressed her gratitude for the opportunity to reprise the part over 30 years after the original film's premiere. Although, that's a little surprising. Now you may ask why. Don't worry, we're not going to keep you hanging because next, we're going to delve into Winifred Sanderson's character ending because there might be some confusion. Winifred Sanderson would hate her ending if it was Hocus Pocus classic. Spoiler alert for Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2. During the last moments of Disney's highly anticipated, freshly released Hocus Pocus 2, Winifred Sanderson makes a decision concerning her sisters that Hocus Pocus's Winifred would have detested. Max Dennison consumes the Sanderson Sisters' life potion at the climax scene of Hocus Pocus to prevent his sister Danny from having to do likewise. What a fool to give up their life for their sisters, Winnie says in response to this altruistic effort. However, in the sequel film, Winnie's attitude appears to be the polar opposite. Winnie treats her sisters Mary and Sarah horribly in both Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2, hurling mild verbal and physical abuse at them throughout the films. However, the original film's brief moments of actual sisterhood are expanded upon in Hocus Pocus 2, which opens with a flashback scene to the Sanderson sisters' youth. When they make their way into the woods and meet an elder witch, she informs them a witch is nothing without her coven. This is a lesson that the new younger characters Becca, Izzy, and Cassie learn throughout the film, but Winnie is confronted with it again at the conclusion. Despite maintaining her selfishness and harsh treatment of her sisters throughout the film, Winifred is devastated when she loses the other two Sanderson sisters at the end of Hocus Pocus 2. Winnie asks Becca and her spellbook Book to do whatever it takes to bring her sisters back, even if it means giving up her power. When Book explains to Becca how to rejoin the sisters by having Winnie die alongside them, Winnie not only accepts her death, but she chuckles and thanks Becca and Book for returning her to her sisters. Despite Disney's hint of a Hocus Pocus 3 sequel, the Sanderson sisters appear to be on their way out. Winnie's two endings in the two Hocus Pocus films are diametrically opposed, and the original Hocus Pocus Winnie would have despised the way Winnie's narrative ended in Hocus Pocus 2. But the real question still remains, why is Winifred's ending in Hocus Pocus 2 ironic? Throughout the two Hocus Pocus films, Winnie frequently refers to her sisters as fools or stupid, among other things. By now, we all know Winifred does not tolerate idiots. When she believes her sisters are acting silly, she sometimes follows the remark with a smack. Winnie also dislikes being foolish. Therefore, she responds angrily every time a teenager tries to dupe her. It's extremely out of character for Winnie to make a decision that she considered dumb only a day before. Thackery Binks remarks to Max in the original Hocus Pocus, "You'll never know how valuable she is until you lose her." While Max does not lose Danny, Binks' words appear to be true for Winifred Sanderson. Winnie from Hocus Pocus would despise Winnie from Hocus Pocus 2, but that's only because she doesn't realize how important her sisters are to her. When Winnie loses Mary and Sarah in the final scene of Hocus Pocus 2, she realizes that she is nothing without her coven, and throwing up her life for them becomes a lot less ridiculous. While the finale of Winnie's narrative in Hocus Pocus 2 contradicts her ending in the previous film, it's nevertheless a suitable conclusion for her and the Sanderson sisters. With Kathy getting an end she truly deserved, the fans are curious about one other thing. Remember Gilbert's cat, Cobweb? Well, some people want to know, is Gilbert's cat actually Thackery Binks? Don't worry, we got you. The answer actually lies in the post-credit scene. Cobweb, is it Thackery Binks in disguise? In the original film, Thackery Binks is cursed and transformed into a cat by the Sanderson sisters in 1693 while attempting to save his little sister Emily. He subsequently spends the next 300 years as an immortal talking cat, attempting to guarantee that the witches never return. The Sanderson sisters are eventually awakened, and he assists the film's protagonists in defeating the witches, resulting in his soul finally being liberated. Despite people's wish for him to return to the sequel, Binks is not secretly Gilbert's pet black cat, Cobweb. Cobweb, another cunning black cat, is just a very intelligent feline. Binks ultimately finds peace at the end of the original Hocus Pocus, and his spirit joins his sister Emily in the afterlife. The previous film's ending nicely closed up their tale, making a Binks and Emily appearance in Hocus Pocus 2 unjust and unrealistic. Binks does not return for the sequel since it makes no sense for his character to return after the events of the first film, and it also does not suit the Hocus Pocus 2 narrative. The homage to Binks the Cobweb is great, but nothing more should be interpreted from it. That wraps up Binks' story forever. Will we see him ever again? Time will tell. And this wraps up today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our latest content. And thanks for watching. Until next time, we'll see ya.